everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I know we have a lot of folks joining us from around the world today. So wherever you're joining us from, I think, have people from more than 50 different countries. So welcome. Really excited to see you all for the first week, but second class of AI Startup School. As mentioned previously, but for those of you who are new, my name is Erin. I manage global programs for the startups team. And we're really excited to be here with you today. I will be hosting as the MC for today's session. So going to run through a few housekeeping items, some reminders, and then I'll bring our speakers on stage to kick things off. So just as a reminder, today's session is Igniting Startup Growth with Gen AI. So real world applications and success stories will be covered by our awesome speakers today. And I wanted to just run through kind of the weekly overview. So as mentioned, we're in week one, second class. I know we have a lot of return attendees. We have some new attendees today. Excited to see you all here. Week two, we're going to go a little bit deeper. So we have classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays again. On Tuesday, we'll be covering prototyping with Gen AI. And on Thursday, we'll cover scaling Gen AI, so advanced patterns and production techniques. Week three, we're going to change it up a little bit. We'll have a focus on BigQuery for Tuesday and Thursday sessions. And week four, we're bringing in some awesome partners to chat with you all, specifically Anthropic and Google DeepMind. So we have some really exciting programming coming up and hope that you all stick with us. All right. So like I said, just wanted to run through a few reminders. So for those of you who are new, again, welcome. As you can tell from today and what's going on, we have our live sessions every Tuesday and Thursday, same time each week. You can choose the time slot that's most convenient for you, your schedule, your time zone. So make sure to tune in live if you're able. But the good news is we also have all the sessions available on demand. So you can go to our landing page, you can take your time, you can rewatch something. If you missed a session, you can go and watch the session and catch up. And just so everyone knows, these are available a few hours after the live session wraps. So just go ahead and check back there if you need anything. The other things to remind you of our Cloud Skills Boost. So as part of this, we also provide recommended labs for you to complete to continue your learning and follow up. These labs will give you access to try the different solutions, products, and technologies that our awesome speakers are presenting about and talking about. And it allows you to try them for free. So you can practice with guidance, and the link provided on this screen that you see here includes the full list, the comprehensive list of the labs that we're recommending throughout the entire training program. And then just something fun as a reminder, you can obtain Skills Boost badges for completion of certain labs and courses in Cloud Skills Boost. So I know some folks are really excited about that. All right, so Cloud Skills Boost, let's just double click on this for a second here. So as mentioned, we're using practical labs as a key component of the training program. To access these labs free of charge, you do need to fuel your account with the credits on the platform. So everyone should have received instructions by email on how to activate your account with credits. You will have a unique code to obtain those. If anyone recently registered, please scan the QR code on the screen that you see here. This will help you activate your account and redeem your credits. We know some of you guys have questions about this, or it's your first time navigating. So if you need any assistance with credits redemption, you can contact support@quicklabs.com. And we've also added this contact information to the chat space that you see on the right-hand side. I do just want to call out really quickly. We know there was an issue with some folks receiving 100, not 200 credits. I do want to sincerely apologize. We had a system error and some first comers got only 100 credits, but I do want to assure you if this happened, it's more than enough credits to complete all of the labs that we're recommending. All right, so let's move to just a few housekeeping items before we jump in. So as you can see on your screen, there's a chat function on the right-hand side. There's also a Q&A panel at the bottom. So we have amazing Google AI experts on hand to answer any questions that come up throughout the class. So you can ask your questions in either of those spaces. We do save the last about 10 minutes of class for live Q&A with our instructors. We'll select the most commonly asked questions and those relating directly to the content that's covered today. You can upvote questions in the Q&A panel, so please do so, as that will help with our selection process. And then you can use the chat space to converse with other participants. Again, we're recording each class. You'll be able to watch them back on demand at a later stage, and you can access those videos and sessions via our main program page. I do just want to call out, this is a common question. We won't be sharing slides, but we do share the links to the labs covered in class, both during class in the chat and Q&A panel, and also in all of our weekly recap emails. And then you can also find the list of resources on our website. So plenty of places for you all to find hopefully everything that you need. Last but not least, as a reminder, this is a hands-on training series. So most classes cover a lab, and all those reminders we just went through about Cloud Skills Boost to fuel your account, make sure that you sign up so that you can complete those as part of your continuous learning. All right, so that is it from me. I will now invite our awesome speakers today to our virtual stage. So Shri and Maruthi, they are going to lead class, which is Igniting Startup Growth as mentioned, and I'll be back a little later for the Q&A session.
Good morning, good evening, everyone. I'm Shri, Srinivas Ganagapati, your GenAI Cloud Advisor and also Startup Success Manager with Google Cloud. I spent a significant number of years in the world of the cloud technology and the startup growth. So basically, primarily helping the businesses navigating the challenges and capitalizing on the opportunities. So today, I'm excited to share how GenAI is revolutionizing the startups and also harnessing the power to generate business value and the success to your organizations. So pleasure to meet you all.
Thanks, Rini. Hello, everyone. This is Maruti Tuvluri. Probably some of you recognize me already. More of a permanent fixture to this. It's a great opportunity to keep engaged with the startup ecosystem. So we appreciate it. As some of you know, I'm an engineer working on enterprise customers, startups, whole range of customers in between. Also an active part of the startup ecosystem. Before this, I had a great opportunity to work across operating systems, compilers, cloud platforms, and applications. Have a strong application background. So really looking forward to to this session where we'll go through some of the details. Back to you, Sri.
Thank you, Marty. To start with, it's incredible for me to be here today. So, in addition to the previous session that we are sharing, so we shared some real-time use cases and how GenAI is helping the world. So, even I'm buzzing with excitement to dive into the world of generative AI and how it's transforming the startup landscape, especially, right? Forget the hype that we are seeing about and hearing about the generative AI. What we are going to do today is we are going beyond the buzzwords to explore the real world and high impact use cases. This is not about just the robots taking over, right? So it's about giving the startups the actual superpowers, how you can imagine and drive these business cases within your organization and drive the success for your organization. Imagine automating the tedious stuff like the content creation so you can focus on the strategy and picture crafting, personalized customer experiences, so which almost feels like a magic, right? So we will see how generative AI is accelerating the product development and also helping startups from ideation to the actual market to wrap the speed with the wrap speed, right? So, and finally, we'll also uncover how it optimizes operations, making startups leaner and also more efficient. So we will get ready for the a small glimpse into the future. So basically, we'll give you a kind of view on what are the new product features and the capabilities, along with the actual real use cases that, as a Google Cloud, we have seen with the customers, and how even the startups can leverage generative AI to reach each with all these core capabilities to drive the success and do kind of extraordinary things that we are looking at. Certainly, I was fortunate to help many startup organizations throughout my career to drive some of the great value, and generative AI certainly is helping an accelerator that to which is driving critical success. Let's explore more on this. Looking at the slide, it's just an incredible stats, right? So it's exciting to see how vibrant generative AI ecosystem is taking root globally. So here we are looking at more on the UK generative AI startups percentage, but at Google Cloud, we are very proud to be supporting this innovation by providing the infrastructure and tools for these startups to need to scale. In fact, 60% of the UK generative AI startups are already in Google Cloud customers. And this number is almost similar even globally as well when we come with the look at the startups. So basically, all these startups are leveraging our advanced AI platform and expertise to bring their cutting edge ideas to the light. This is the actual value that we are seeing in today's world with Google Cloud ecosystem. Just wanted to give some background, right? So, Deep Blue, everyone has heard of Deep Blue. So, Deep Blue conquered the chess in 1997, and Watson mastered trivia in 2011. And now, in 2024, where we are now, AI can distinguish Fido from mittens. This is the power of generative AI and how technology is evolving in these so many years at a rapid pace. And it's not just about the games anymore or even the knowledge anymore, right? So it's about transforming the industries and igniting the startup growth, how we can help that. So generative AI is helping, it can personalize the customer experiences, and it also can automate the complex tasks and even create new products and services. So basically, unlocking the unprecedented opportunities for startups in this disruptive market that we are looking at, and it also helps to drive scale rapidly as well. So I'm going to share with you some of my stories, how even I have approached, and I'm helping the startup organization, and also the real world use cases that we are looking at from Google Cloud perspective. So this was one of my first neural net that how I was designing. So I'm going to share my journey on the building my first neural network, right? So imagine a network that learns like our brains, right? So we start with raw data. That's our input basically. Think about images, tags, or even the customer behavior. This data is fed into a convolutional layer. So basically, the convolutional layer, it acts as a filter and identifying the key features and patterns. So next, we have an activation function. So basically, it introduces non-linearity, enabling the network to learn complex relationships. And to simplify things, a pooling layer is introduced to reduce the basically the data size, how much we are getting the data, and retaining the important information about the images or the context that we are looking at. To simp- to simplify things, we also have what we have done is we have fully connected layer that connects everything and making sense of the process data. The result, so an output, it can be a prediction, it can be a classification, or even object. So like the piece of content that you are looking at. This neural network, with its ability to learn and adapt, became our core of our product. So even at Google Cloud, this is one of the key features that is underlying to all the cloud AI ecosystem. So basically, it's allowing the personalizing the user experiences. You will be able to automate the tasks, and also you will be able to drive the significant growth for the startups with the basic foundation that you have enabled. This is how you will be seeing the world. So this, if you look at overall the transformer revolution, so it started long time back. When we say long time back, it's not in the IT world. It's pretty new. So it's basically ignited right here at Google, and it's paved the path. If you look at high level, the way for an incredible in the evolution that we are looking at, it's an incredible evolution that we are looking at in terms of the generative AI. So in 2017, the Google research team introduced the transformers. So the basically the field defining paper, sometimes basically it's also referred as grandparent of modern language models. So in 2018, we expanded that even further with the advanced models, which is BERT model, a groundbreaking large language model with extremely high accuracy that we are looking at. So which was supporting almost more than 100 languages. And in 2020, we expanded that even further with Lambda. So I'm not going with each of them. But again, if you see the evolution, how we are looking at from our early breakthroughs with transformers, BERT, T5, to the advancements of Lambda and even AlphaFold. And now, last couple of years, you have seen BARD and Gemini. We are consistently pushing the boundaries of what's possible, right? So these models are not just generating the text or even their basically they're transforming the industries. And for startups especially, what we are looking at is unprecedented opportunities to accelerate the growth and also uh, enable the startups value proposition to the enterprises. So this is the power of generative AI, and it's ready to ignite your basically the startup journey into the success. So let's look at the next. We are witnessing its early impact, right? So across all the industries now, not just one or two industry sectors. We are looking at end to end of industry sectors that are leveraging generative AI. So it starting from automating the tasks to accelerating the research and development. But what we have seen so far is just a glimpse of what to come, right? So generative AI basically it has a potential to revolutionize how startups operate and scale. Basically, it's and helping its growth. We are looking at, I mean, many organizations, some of my startup organizations where I was helping them in terms of their enabling the marketing campaigns. So you can enable it with the generative AI in seconds, and even the product designs, right? So how quickly we can generate product designs now, which used to take a lot of effort and time. Uh, previously in the last couple of years. So now with customer service transformed by AI-powered chatbots like agents that you're which are kind of capable of a human-like interaction. So this is the technology that's empowering the startups today to level the playing field, and basically you are competing with larger players in the global market, and also unlocking how you can expand into all these areas across in a simpler format, right? So and accelerate it quickly. That's how we are helping. Let's dive into what exactly the industries that we are looking at and how we are progressing, right? So this is a McKinsey report. So basically, it shows how generative AI is impacting overall all the industry sectors. If you look at the numbers, it could add trillions of values to the global economy across all the industry sectors, both on the revenue uplift side as well as cost savings perspective. So currently, we are looking at almost 63 common Gen AI use cases that are driving the value add. But again, this is expanding rapidly with all the use cases across all these organizations. But again, we are going to tap into some of the common one that I have seen personally and across various organizations. For example, Gen AI support for customer interactions, even the creating the content for marketing and sales, right? So, and also natural language interfaces for code assist. So they found this technology has a kind of potential, even not just one or two trillion. We are looking at almost $4 to $5 trillion in annual economic value worldwide. So that is the impact of generative AI that we are looking at globally today. Just want to start with some of the core domains, the use cases perspective. One, I'll start with the retail. So that's which is very common that we have seen. I've been having conversations with the retailers around the globe. So some of whom haven't. So basically, they are kind of they're still looking at how they can enable the innovation and how they can leverage the generative AI. So and they started exploring some of the common use cases that we are looking at today, and which generated a quicker and accelerated business value for them. Today, I wanted to share with you all the ways that Google is thinking about generative AI and how you might leverage the data in new ways to create the business drivers and help your organizations. So at the highest level, we know generative AI, how it's helping, right? So you can synthesize the complex data and make it accessible. So it's not just about the data that's structured, right? So you are looking at unstructured data and anything that you can digitize. So like filling the forms and handwriting examples and everything. So and also the generating the content at the click of the button, which is very critical nowadays. Like you're generating the text, images, audio, video, and even the computer code, right? So end to end with a click of button, you will be able to get the value out of it. And also you are creating and automating marketing campaigns and operations. So basically, how it's helping, it's significantly decreasing the time that takes to create these campaigns, which used to take months and years earlier. Now we are looking at not even days to reach out to the customers, right? So and it's not about just reaching out to the customer and including the gathering the insights, right? So how you can improve it even further in the coming cycles. That's how quickly you can enable and accelerate the business value. And engage, basically engaging through conversations, right? So our models are capable to understand humans more intuitively now. So it can be speech to text or even the natural language format that we are looking at. So it makes all these interactions much more easier and less robotic. So this is just one area, I mean, that GenAI is helping to understand and automating the process across all the retailers. And I mean, there are multiple ways and different line of businesses from the each organization. So GenAI can be applicable. Basically, one thing which I always tell about to my customers about generative AI, it's up to your creativity how you can leverage the generative AI. So you can apply generative AI capabilities across any process, any organizations, and any line of businesses within your organization. So that will help and drive the value. These are some of them which we are exploring, which we are seeing, which is very common from accounts perspective. Google has been at the forefront. So basically, if we look at some of the other additional use cases, it's forefront at the AI innovation, right? So looking at what we are trying to do is we are bringing this innovation together in terms of the consumer channels and vertically integrated and optimized AI platform and solution to help these all these customized customer experiences. So actually, as Google Cloud core, what we look at is you have been positioned to transform these customer experiences, whether it's a social media, even mobile apps. I do have messaging core content, even the live chat experiences. So end to end, any engagement model that you are looking at, wherever is the consumer is in your journey, you will be able to accelerate the generative AI quickly. Moving on. So some of the common use cases in terms of the customer engagement. So Google AI solutions basically built on the foundation of responsible technology and also latest models you're looking at, whether it's a Gemini 1.5 Flash or Pro and even Gamma models that we are looking at. You would be able to leverage all of them to some to any of the use cases that we are looking at across the organization. So let's do a little bit deep dive into these use cases. So modernizing the customer service. So basically, if we look at what exactly we are doing, we are trying to automate the routine tasks and providing the intelligent agent support, and also analyzing the customer interactions. So this is helping driving the better value and the customer experience, and also the user experience, right? How friendly it is to have an agent that's responding end to end in their language with their the tone that they are looking at, and driving the quicker business value from the organization side, and accelerating the digital commerce, right? So basically, we are trying to improve relevance of search results, uh, primarily based on the personalization. Same with automated document processing. So we want to make it much more easier and better way to structure the data from unstructured documents. So it can be any physical forms, it can be the picture forms. You'll be able to convert that and drive the value, automate the overall data document processing capabilities with generative AI and other Google Cloud technologies. And one thing which we have seen, I mean, personally, I have seen so far with many of the organizations are doing, they're modernizing their websites. So far, they already have some of the core, the public websites which are driving the value in terms of the core content on the service offerings. But now they extended it even further with the generative AI capabilities. One, you are streamlining the content generation, and you are improving the navigation and the self-service capabilities. So overall, it's also helping in the deflection rates also, the way we see in terms of the customer engagement model. So these are some of the use cases that we have seen so far. Let's look at few more use cases and see how actually the real organizations are leveraging it. While there are ton of use cases that we are looking at where GenAI can unlock the value, customer service is an excellent place to start. So basically, it's a low risk, and also you can easily measure the return on investment, and increase the productivity and significant operational savings. So, if we look at what we have done so far, based on our conversations with customers, at least 20 to 30% of them, all calls received in call centers are information seeking calls. So, where customers are asking questions and they already have the answers. So, currently, these answers are only managed through company's website, and it's manual. So now what we have done with Vertex AI Agent Builder is we simplified that process and provided the ability for the developers who don't have even the advanced machine learning capable skills to build everything out of box. The one which you're seeing is just leveraging standard out of box, the tools that which Marty is going to discuss in the coming slides. So, and the organization already started leveraging these tools to drive the customer experience. So Wells Fargo, so basically it used the Google AI to build their virtual assistant. So Fargo that provides customers a convenient and intuitive banking experience. For example, customers can quickly turn debit cards on and off, check the credit limits, even search for specific transactions by date, right? It can be by date, amount, or even the type. So ask Fargo in plain language, you will be able to do almost every banking transaction that you are looking at. Whatever you used to do, not usually going to the bank manually or online. Same with Verizon. So Verizon also expanded even further with their agent capabilities. How I mean to in addressing the customer experiences. So this is one of the great examples how Macy's and Michaels are doing. So primarily on the digital commerce perspective. So currently, digital commerce is thriving on connecting shoppers and exactly the product what they are looking at. So and it's a rapidly changing commerce culture. So basically, whoever has it first, they will be able to drive the lot of value add, and you have to retain the customer. And in order to get all these experiences together, the first thing that which is very essential is the search. So basically, search is the bridge between the customer's intent and also the perfect item. So, leveraging decades of Google's experience in this search and technologies like knowledge graph and shopping signals, what we have done is we helped customers, including Macy's and Michaels, to enable the shoppers' natural language queries and also delivered the relevant results with the actual context and without a much of nuisance, right? So basically, you will since you are still these models are evolving, you will be seeing the actual the power intent based search and personalized recommendations. This strategy is transforming, I mean, overall the customer experiences globally, right? So uh, I'm just giving the examples of Macy's and Michaels, so but all the other retailers globally, they have already started expanding it into all these core areas. So this is one of the growth areas. So these are some of the use cases which will give you a kind of a quicker start in terms of the startup growth. So, I mean, one thing which I wanted to share is on the automated document processing and the analysis capabilities, right? So basically, this is significantly reducing kind of overall time that's taken with the manual effort that we were previously seeing. So if you look at high level, Workday is leveraging some of the Gen AI along with the document AI capabilities for multilingual receipt processing. So streamlining their global expense management. It's already in production today. So, and also Embers, who is also a global leader in expense management and accounts payable, it's also integrated uh, the document AI and generative AI capabilities into its platform to automate their expense and invoice process. These are some of the great examples that you can learn from how big organizations are doing and how I can leverage instead of me starting a new idea from scratch, and you will be able to see how ideas can contribute to your the latest idea generation, and which also aligns with what you are looking in the market today. So modernizing websites, you already know, Canva is already using some of the Gen AI capabilities to enable the translate the images, designs, and videos in almost 100 plus languages with just a click of a button on the website. So all these uses the Google Cloud capabilities at this point of time. We are also looking at ST Lauder leveraging the Gen AI capabilities from Google Cloud to personalize the experiences across all their websites, right? So one, it's helping to drive the customer satisfaction and also cross-selling the opportunities and customer lifetime value. That's the actual growth for all these businesses. Some of the industry leaders, considering the time, I'll be quickly touching upon those. So you will be, it's not just few ways that we are looking at generative AI in customer experiences. So all the industry leaders, they're already started ahead and adopting all these core experiences that we are seeing today in Gen AI. One thing, I mean, this is really exciting time. But if we look at historically, healthcare has lagged in adopting advanced information technologies primarily due to their regulations and complexities associated with that, and interoperability, right? And challenges, and also they also want to make a safe and cautious approach to safeguard their patient data. This industry is recognizing now the imperative of the generative AI, and they are expanding now. So these are some of the common. So one, it's a digital growth and experiences, care delivery transformations. So primarily addressing the burnout prevalent among healthcare workers by automating the tasks. So sustainable and efficient operations are one of the common ones that we see across all these healthcare organizations. So, and think about, and even we can expand that further with member engagement and marketing scenarios. So, these are some of the common scenarios that we are seeing in the healthcare domains. Looking at the life sciences, yes, life sciences industry sector is also expanding. One, in terms of the personalizing the experiences, similar to what we have seen so far on the retail side. and generating the interoperable insights and also sustainable operations, right? So end of the day, if we look at high level, so conversational R&D exploration. So basically, if I give an example on that, it enables basically the life sciences organization to build a new conversation powered discovery experiences, uh, primarily focusing on the research areas and increasing the relevance. Same with document search and synthesis. It's enabling one to search and understand the vast amount of structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data throughout the enterprises. Uh, and End of the day, if I look at how the use cases are evolving across the Gen AI, the underlying the technology components, what they are looking at as a platform, they remain same. But how you can easily enable that is through these the priority pillars that we are looking at. Same with creating the value on the healthcare. So I don't want to dig deep into it. We already discussed this in terms of the how we are enabling the productivity of the employees, how we are enabling the content creation. We already discussed that across multiple slides in our previous section, but also enhancing the personalized audience experiences, right? So every media organization, if you look at in the world today, it's facing the reality that for most consumers, switching costs are extremely low. So now Gen AI is helping even the media sector as well. So to more seamlessly generate and retain the viewers on their platform, right? So and also creating new interactive experiences with the generative AI. So as a startup, you have a lot of value add. So these are only some of the use cases that we have seen so far across these industry structures that I have shared. But again, there are a lot many. You're looking at thousands and ten thousands of the use cases that which are very common to across all these organizations that you can readily and quickly enable it. And even for startups, you'll be able to see how the large players are looking at in terms of their generative AI capabilities. You will also be able to leverage some of these shared experiences into your startup organization and enable the growth. So I'll pass it on to Marty to give you kind of view on the platform capabilities and the demos. And I'll be coming back to share some of the startup success stories as well. Thank you.
Hey, thanks a lot, Srinivas. So yes, we'll jump into some of the applications, right? And also, I just wanted to cover, some of the tools, right, before we go through some examples, right, that some of our customers are leveraging Gen AI to go to the next level. Um, so with that, oh, by the way, I think there is a parallel session series, right, for Europe and APAC, right? I definitely recommend you kind of watching those because there is some variance, right, between the sessions and content, right? So you might really find useful to kind of see, address some of the gaps. And I do see one or two questions about like labs, for example. For first week, we're keeping this like at a little high level because we have like thousands of people joining across like different skill levels and all that, right? So we're trying to kind of baseline so that the next few weeks, right, everyone is equipped, right, to kind of get to the next level, right, and get pretty hands-on. But I'll cover some tools today, and then we'll go to some of the use cases, right, and then I'll also towards the end talk about the various offers that we have, right, that startups can leverage, right, to take your idea into production, right? So with that, so I think as Srinivas was saying, right, I don't want to rehash this whole thing, right? Um, Earlier, a lot of these use cases, right, for Gen AI were mostly focused on chatbots, summarization, content generation, right? Which are, by the way, great use cases, right? Absolutely, no doubt about it. But what we are seeing, right, increasingly in the startup side of things is people have, started getting extremely innovative to a point like, getting into the core of domains, right? For example, finding out like, getting into material sciences for building rocket fuels, for example, right? Or someone is getting into like AR overlays, right? Like you're in a dangerous environment, right? Or you're trying to, let's say, get into a factory kind of a setup, right, where you want to debug, analyze stuff, right? And basically you put on this AR headset, right? And it creates a multimodal overlay where you ask it question and then it will actually prompt you to take you to that specific location, right? And it understands how that piece of machinery works, right? So you can change it. Or in the medical system where you can use the AR overlay, right, along with AI, Gen AI, to kind of, let's say you want to do some medical procedure or so on, right? So we're seeing a lot of interesting use cases, right, getting into the core of technology, right? It's not, I don't mean to kind of undermine, the capabilities of building chatbots, support systems and all, right? They are absolutely great, right? And they're saving a lot of time, effort, right? And increasing experiences. But they're also all these additional core use cases, right? I think the startup community is actually leading with the baton there to innovate, right? So with that, let's start talking a little bit about tools, right? Again, I mean, this is in no way an exhaustive flow, right? When you kind of start up, yes, you have an idea, right? And then you kind of validate it, experiment it, you want to make sure whether your idea is valid, right? Then once you believe it's valid, right, you experiment with that, right? See, how to quickly build an app, or set of apps, right? Or maybe right now, agents, right? We're talking about agentic frameworks and all that. And then you kind of getting from that point of experimentation and validation to a point where you want to build an MVP, right? How quickly can you do that, right? What tools you have, right? Obviously, more specifically for a startup, right? I mean, some startups can self-fund and all that, right? But majority of them, like, you're looking for like, maybe seed or Series A, right? How do you kind of get in there, right? It's very, very important that that the cycle times, right, are very faster, right? I've seen multiple kind of startups, right, where they've gone from ideation to seed in 45 days flat, right? And it's not just the application, right, that's leveraging AI and Gen AI. It's also like, how they're using some of these tools. Like, for example, I'll touch upon some of these, right, to brainstorm your ideas. You can use tools to prep for your interviews, right? Like, hey, you have something like Perex or YC or, one of these like, accelerators, right? You want to go and interview with them. Like, how do you do that? Do role plays and stuff like that, right? I'll show some tools here. And then, once you go from there into production, I think this is where, I think yesterday Mona kind of provided an overview of tools, right? Like everything from like, how do you handle scale, right? It's one thing to have like an endpoint and, send prompts, right? It's pretty easy. But, how do you scale it, right? How do you deliver it in a distributed manner, right? How do you secure it, right? Whether it's prompt injection or other risks, right, that you want to deal with it. Then there is something like observability, right? I think given LLMs are non-deterministic, right, in their response compared to like traditional applications or even like predictive AI, right? So it's very, very important to find out ways to measure the quality of the outcome, right? And some of the time, like, or I should say most of the time, right, the LLM outputs are very, based on, the judgments of individual observer, right? Like a summarization to one person might look absolutely great, but for the other person, it might not, right? Then how do you address this gap, right? Similarly, if you generate an image, right, some image might look absolutely great for one person, but not for the other person, right? So that perception, that personability, right, those are some of the unique challenges that you would have, right, in generative AI especially. And then, like, talking about operating, right, like, how do you operate, an application that's leveraging AI and Gen AI, right? You talk about LLM ops and so on and so forth, right? And then improvement. But anyway, I didn't mean to be like super exhaustive on this one, right? But at least, get a feel of like all these steps, like how you can cover, right, as you go on your journey from ideation into hopefully funding and into the production. So with that, if it allows me to go, right? So yes, I know some of you might have already played with these, right? But I want to kind of create a broad, swap at this and introduce, right? There are two ways where you can get started with Jenny, at least from Google side of things, right? So one, you're developing like a consumer app, right? Or you're trying to build like hobbyist experiment experiences, or even you're trying to learn, right? Like, hey, you don't want to be boggled by creating a cloud account, I am running around for credits and so on. By the way, that part is easy too, right? We'll touch upon it. How can you quickly start building an application, right? And I'll show some demos very shortly, right? That's basically your Google AI Studio. Now, you want to build an enterprise class application, right? It's not so much about like, quickly doing something. Yes, you can still quickly do and deliver applications, right? But like there's security, there's compliance, there's data sovereignty, right? Or if you're targeting like an enterprise style application, right? That's like, your startup is more focusing on enterprise, right? You have a lot of systems to integrate, right? It could be an ITSM system. It could be, some kind of a workflow system. It could be, a knowledge base, right? It could be some scientific information, R&D, whatever it is, right? 99.99%, right? There's no magic number, but like majority of the enterprise applications are dependent on other systems, right? So how do you connect to those? How do you integrate with those, right? That's where the Vertex AI shines, right? Because we do provide all these, right? Not only these, but things like evaluation, things like compliance, things like security, right? And privacy. There's so many aspects that are needed for an enterprise application, right? So we'll cover start with that. Maybe let me kind of switch over to my other screen if I can. Just give me 1 second while I jump to my window, maybe. I hope I can. Is this showing up? Yes. Yes. I hope my screen is showing up now. Cool. So what we have, right, is essentially this AI Studio, right? As I mentioned earlier, what it does is it's a very simple and easy way to get started with generative AI, right? You don't need credits, right? You don't need any cloud kind of subscription. All you need is basically a Google ID, right? You go to astudio.google.com, right? You sign in, and with your Google ID, and you are in, right? So at that point, right, you can do a couple of things, right? So first, what you have to do is kind of create an API key, right? This is like any other API key, right? I mean, if you're using APIs, you need a key to authenticate against, like, the endpoint, right? So you get an API key, and that's all you need to do, right? And then you're ready to jump in. So there are multiple things you can do, right? Obviously you can create a, what do you call, a prompt, right? Like, for example, let's say I just select some of the existing ones, right? I don't have access to the drive, so it's kind of giving me that error, but that's fine. So then basically, like, you can run that, right? And experiment, like, tune it, do whatever you want, right? And then there are a couple of things you can do, right? On the right side, you can experiment with various models, right? Again, this version, right, which is free version, only offers Google models, right? So as you can see, you have 1.5 Pro, like, which is most powerful right now. It's in version 2. Then we have like a couple of older models, and then we have Flash, right, which is very, very fast, right? From a cost impact analysis, like it's very, very efficient, right? It almost like gets near accuracy levels, right, of Pro, but there's this small delta, right, which you get with Pro. So it's a great place to start, right? Again, you also have other, like, open models, right, from Google, like Gemma. There are like 3 variants and so on, right? Eventually, we'll add few more, right? So again, I know some of you have already played with this, right? I think I'm spending a little bit of time, right, to kind of make sure everyone is on the same page, right, in case you've not played with these tools. JSON mode is like, where you want the output to be like a JSON, right? A lot of these use cases, right? Ultimately, you want to convert the information that you have received, right, into some kind of a JSON, right? So if that's your use case, right, automatically clicking that, right, will get you the JSON, right? And then you can actually go ahead and change the schema here in line itself. That way, you don't have to do like JSON schema validations and stuff like that, right? So you have a visual editor and a code editor, right? I know initially, even I struggled a little bit with this, right? Because like there was no tooling, right? So I had to kind of create my own JSON libraries. Yes, Python does offer a bunch of those, but it's always nice to have it in the library itself, right? So it's a great way to kind of generate validated JSONs using schemas that you want to create. Then basically code execution, right? It's a way in case you want to execute a code, right? You can enable that. Similarly, function calling, right? You want to invoke other functions, or in this specific case, right? Define a function definition, right? Which can then be called, right? You can do this. You have a bunch of safety settings, right? Where you can, there are a bunch of criteria, right? That you can filter on, right? You can block completely to like blocking at a certain level, right? So you have all these. Again, again, if you played with these tools for a while, probably you're familiar, but for those who have not, it's a great place to start, right? So all it takes is maybe 2 minutes to sign in with your Google Gmail credentials, right? While you experiment with the prompts, right, you can also like export right to the code, right? Then there are two things you can do from here, right? So you can either open in a collab. Collab is basically a hosted Jupyter notebook by Google, right? So you can just click on it, right? And then basically it will open a collab, right? Again, I've disabled my Google, right? So it won't, Google Drive. So it won't like store there. But essentially, right, you can run this in prompt, like inline, right? It's so easy, right? 5 minutes, right? If you have a concept and you want to validate, you can do it right away, right? You're not creating any VMs, you're not doing any fancy stuff. Just you're going in, right, and then building stuff. And so that's one, right? And then basically you have a compare mode, right? So where you want to compare with two models, right? And there is an exhaustive functionality for this in Vertex AI, but at least in the AI Studio, right? You can compare against Google models, right? Like for the same prompt, right? If I use, let's say 1.5 Pro 2 versus 1.5 Flash, right? How is this thing going to be different, right? So you can do all that comparison, right? So that's the thing. And other thing that you can do is you can actually, let's leave that, right? You can come up with a tuned model, right? All you need, right? And typically, right, if you have a machine learning background, when you start saying tuning and training, you kind of think, oh my God, now I need to have thousands of labeled data, and then tune it, clean it, all that pipeline, right? That data prepping activity that you have to do, that comes to mind, right? But in this case, you don't have to do this, right? Like, these tuning methods, right, can ingest anywhere from like, as it says, right, 100 to 500 examples, right, labeled, and then, you're off, right? Let's say you're creating an application for, certain specific domains, right? You can, use information from that domain and then build a tuned model. Then you basically have like, the prompt library, right? So whatever prompts that you have done, you can save it here. So it's really great. And then, at some point, right, like, once you're satisfied, you can actually, import, right, this whole thing to, what do you call, Vertex AI Studio as well, right, with one click. So that's the AI Studio, Google AI Studio. Now, Vertex AI Studio is part of Google Cloud, right? So you go to console, right? So this is basically like the enterprise version of it, right? You either need credits or you need subscription, right? You go to Model Garden. And then in the Model Garden, you can see a very similar interface, right? Again, as I said, it does come with a lot of models, right? both Google, as you can see, and third party. Mona has covered this to a certain level, so I'll not get into the details here, right? But I just want to kind of give you a, kind of a capability. So you can select any of these, right? And there are three ways, right, that you can leverage LLMs. One is Google's native endpoints, right? Like all the Gemini and Gemma, it's like end-to-end managed, right? So there are, certain SLAs and so on and so forth. Then we also offer something called as managed models, right? Model as a service for certain third-party models, right? Where we kind of host them, and then you provide an endpoint, you can actually access them. And the third one is essentially, yes, you can bring in any model, right, and then run it on Google Cloud, whether it's on GKE or on GCE, right? GKE is our Kubernetes platform, managed Kubernetes platform, and GCE is like the VMs, right? So you can kind of go there and right, and you pretty much get it. The couple of things I think someone asked about, like how do I kind of tune the prompt, right? So you can use this, right, to tune your prompts, right? Or you can basically use this, right, this help me write functionality, right, where you basically write something, right? You're a school teacher, explain, I don't know. My son is just going through this. It's on my mind right now. So I put some typos, leave it there, right? So I kind of do that, right? And it kind of creates a prompt, right? Kind of tunes a prompt, right? As you can see, it adds a lot of context, right? And tries to come up with this, right? And then you can use it and then basically run, right? Again, you can do all these configurations as I mentioned earlier, right? Pretty straightforward. Couple of other things, right, is that there are a lot of additional functionalities. Let's say, for example, you have started with OpenAI, for example, right, but you want to leverage the same code base and then want to use Gemini, right, to kind of compare and see how we are doing, right? Obviously, as if you have seen the latest metrics and benchmarks, I think our models are doing absolutely great. We are leading a lot of benchmarks now. But you can do that too, right? So there's a service that allows you to use OpenAI semantics, right, and still target Gemini, right? Again, for people who have played with prompts for a while, right, each model has its own kind of semantics, right? Like if you use a prompt in one model, there's no guarantee that you'll get exactly the same output, right, in another model, right? So tools like these, right, which are offered as part of Vertex AI, are extremely helpful for you, right, to kind of what do you call use like your existing investments, right, and make sure that you're getting outcome from all those investments, right? So let me kind of jump back, at least one more thing before I kind of go, right? So there is another tool, right, that's very helpful. If you're already familiar with it, that's great. If not, right, there's an online IDE, right? I use this extensively. It's very similar to VS Code, right? Except that it's online, it's hosted, it has complete connectivity to Vertex AI Studio, right? And there's another open source project called as GenKit, right, which basically allows you to if you're a JavaScript developer, right, most of these examples that you see using LLMs are like in Python, right? But let's say you're, Node or, Go developer, right? And you want to create applications, right? It makes it really easy, right? So it's just a click of a button, right? It's all hosted online. You can connect it to like, whatever project you want, right? And start building applications, right? It's also integrates with Firebase, right? Again, if you're familiar with Firebase, again, this is not limited to Firebase, but, it supports Firebase as well. So few tools. I don't want to kind of just spend all that time on this. Let me kind of come back and show some real world examples real fast. If I could only find where my screen went. Okay, let me reshare my screen. Go back to presentation. So what we'll do now, I'll skip through some of these slides since we have gone through, the tools, right? Yeah, as I mentioned, right, there's a one-click deployment from what do you call Google AI Studio to Vertex AI Studio, right? It's pretty seamless. Notebook LM is another tool. Again, you might have heard about it a lot in the recent weeks, right? Where you're able to create a podcast and all that, right? But I personally use this a lot, right? Let's say, as a startup, right, you want to prepare for your, I don't know, VC interview, right? Like maybe you're going to YC or PayRex or one of these, right? And you want to really prepare, justify, your, tool or software that you're building, right? Or service that you're building and want to get into a role play kind of situation. It's absolutely great, right? Basically, you feed in all the content that you want to feed in, right? And then basically chat with it, right? Like as if you're an interview. It's really, really great. I at least know 3 or 4 startups who said that just doing this for couple of hours made it much easier for them to get into those interviews and talk with the investors, right? Again, that's not part of the maybe the application building tool set, but I think it's a great tool if you're as a startup, right? You're trying to kind of get into funding and all that, right? And of course, you can use Imagen and other tools to generate a lot of your marketing collateral and all that, right? I'll not spend a lot of time there, but I wanted to kind of touch upon, right? So we've gone through this. I think Mona kind of covered the breadth of platform that are available. Only the point that I want you to take away, right, is Vertex AI Studio, right, is enterprise, right? It has this entire stack, right, at your disposal, right, and makes it really, really fast. But if you want to be productive in 5 minutes, right, Google AI Studio is your, first step, right? Just sign in with Google and then you're done. So let's kind of then start paying a little bit of attention to some real world applications, right? I'll touch 2 or 3 of these applications, right? I'll probably play a video and kind of talk a little bit about them. And then we'll kind of switch over to the other topic, right? Again, there's a lot of examples, right? And startups particularly, right, are coming with amazing examples. We have use cases on website, right, which delve into the details, right? So I'll not try to cover too many of these, but let's go through this. The first one is Snapchat. I'm sure either you're familiar with it and or you're using. So Snap is one of our long-term partners, right? They're using Gemini and Vertex and a lot of other tools, right? So let's kind of hear from Ivan on how they're using. I hope the audio will be visible or audible.
Google Cloud has been a partner since day one for Snap, since Bobby and I were working in my dad's house and scaling from the first couple of users, our friends, to now hundreds of millions of people all around the world. My AI is a brilliant best friend powered by artificial intelligence. It's a chatbot where you can ask general knowledge questions, learn more about the world, and have a fun and friendly conversation. And as we started partnering with Google and experimenting with Gemini's capability, what we found was an unbelievable ability to help people solve their problems based on visual context. My AI's great at answering everyday questions. And now that it's integrated with Gemini, you can just send a snap and ask something like, what's the healthiest snack? Let's see what my AI has to say. It looks like Kind bars are the healthiest option. So by partnering with Google, we can leverage the multimodal capability of Gemini to understand what's going on in a snap, even read the caption and reply. Snap's community is distributed all over the world, and that's one of the reasons why Gemini's multilingual capabilities were so exciting to us. We think that this new partnership with Gemini and My AI allows people to learn so much more about the world and to do it really quickly in the moment. With My AI powered by Gemini, I can easily practice my French. Translate this to French. Gemini's multilingual capabilities make it really easy to translate text and, of course, learn a new language. Parfait. Google Cloud's flexibility and ability to scale with our business has allowed us to focus on what we love to do, which is innovating for our.
So in the interest of time, right, like a couple of things I wanted to emphasize, right, in the snaps kind of video. You have capability not only to kind of, obviously, some of you are familiar with RAG, maybe you're doing some advanced RAG techniques right now, right? But in addition to using your own data, right, you could also use Google search, for example, right, as a provider, right? So you can augment, right, the information that you're doing from your data with Google search, right, thereby providing like a lot of, additional use cases, right? I see people use this like in a lot of different cases, like for example, education tech, right? Like, claims processing in healthcare, right? A lot of use cases where you can augment stuff, right? Let's kind of go into this and then. So the next one is Puma. I think this is mostly focusing on the image, like our image creation models capabilities. They're trying to customize shoes and all that, right? We'll just play a couple of a minute or so of this and then go ahead with the.
Hi, I'm Andrea Dermovich, Senior Manager Global E-commerce Photography at Puma, where sports meets creative expression. We are using Google AI to customize the product photos on our website to save time and ensure they are locally relevant to our customers. Google Cloud's Imagine is helping our global content team create dynamic product imagery. And here's how. Let's say a new trail running shoe just launched on our site. I only need to click on the Apply AI Background button. Then, based on my prompt, a variety of sample images are generated for me to choose from. Nice. These all capture every detail I included in my prompt, together with a shoe from our photo library. Let's choose this one. We also look to Imagine to help us easily customize content for regional markets. Let's say these shoes are also launching in Japan. I can localize this image by going back and editing the prompt to include a recognizable landmark, Mount Fuji, for example. Ultimately, this makes for a better digital shopping experience for our customers. Puma India, for example, has already seen a 10% increase in our click-through rate. Imagine is cost-effective, creates high quality and localized visuals at scale, so it's been the perfect choice for us. Hi, I'm Andrea.
Okay. I mean, in this case, right, they were using, Puma was using like image capabilities, to not only just generate images, but also kind of edit, right, like change background, change overlays, right? We have many customers, right, especially in the startup arena, they're experimenting with, incorporating, for example, like, having like, 3D, taking images and generating a video, for example, right? Or analyzing things, for example, in insurance claims, for example, right? You can pull in images, right? And then analyze, like, if there's anything suspicious, right? For example, right, someone didn't manage, like, maintain their washing machine, right? And then, they've incurred a leak and then they're kind of claiming, right? Putting a claim on that, right? How do you identify? Similarly, there's a car, right, accident, and you want to identify, like, situations where people are trying to scam or whatever, right? There are other use cases where people are using multimodal, like, for example, creating images, right, composing music, right, composing music from different sources and so on and so forth, right? So there's a lot of innovation that's happening outside of the traditional AI. I'll kind of, maybe in the benefit of time, maybe just one more, and then we'll go to the next topic. So I think this is focusing on patient care. So it's like, someone chatting, you get like, it's a connected healthcare system where you get all the information from parent. In fact, I'm working with many customers, right, in this area, right, where you want to get information, where you get diagnostics information, right? So we're using specifically customized model for medical domain, where you understand like the terminology used in like by doctors and healthcare systems, which is probably difficult for a normal person to understand, right? So it takes care of it utilizes search, it utilizes summarization, it utilizes like advanced RAG techniques, right, to get the functionality, right, that's needed by the customers. Again, let me pause here real quick, and we'll go to the next one. Then basically we have some conversational experiences, right? How you can have. So this is more like a hairstylist use case. If you're trying to, I know this can be a part of like an e-commerce application, right? You want to find like certain dresses, and then this can also, by the way, combined with imaging capabilities, right? You want to like say, hey, I have this image, right, of a person, right? Like overlay the dresses, right? How do I look when I wear this dress, or come up with some recommendations based on my body type? And there's a whole lot of use cases here. There's a lot of natural language processing going on, right? When you can have say what you want, right? It stores the context. Again, I think the context window, right? I think Mona talked about, and you hear this many times. Having a massive context window helps a lot, right? Because while there are benefits of RAG, right, you don't have to always segment the application, right, and chunk it and do all that, right, just to get the context. So that's one thing. A couple of other things, right, that I also wanted to emphasize is you can leverage open source technologies, right, like LangChain, for example, as part of managed offering, right, via reasoning engine. Obviously, I'm not covering entire breadth of offerings, right? Just wanted to keep it like marketing low, but there's an extensive amount of functionality that's available, especially in the Vertex AI Studio. So I'll stop here and hand over to Srini. But like the takeaway, right, from this is, think beyond. I think as a startup community, you are the torch bearers, right? There's a lot has happened in this year, right? Going from like, this, I don't know, 1 year, we still call it traditional use cases of Gen AI, right? Like summarization and stuff like that, to more deeper, right, core business related use cases, right? So looking forward to, again, working with the startup community. Over to you, Srinivas.
Thank you, Marty. Hope you had a wonderful experience. So basically, what we have done is we have started with the use cases that you are looking at, how the global markets are looking at from the industry sectors perspective, what kind of use cases that they are looking at for each of line of businesses within the industry sectors. And Marty has covered the underlying the technology components, how you can leverage the Google Cloud AI platform and its related capabilities to start something quickly, right, to address any of these use cases. This is the actual value add, right? So how these two things are coming up. So, and let's look at, I wanted to share some of the great success stories from the startup perspective, right? So what we have seen is more on the global organizations, how they are evolving in terms of the use cases. And now what I'll be touching upon is primarily how startups are leveraging this to these capabilities to extend their growth with the startups. Where is it's a basically a compelling startup story. So personally, my favorite. So I worked with the team very closely in their journey from a startup with the fewer employees till a bigger organization now. So it's if we look at the overall background, it started with born from a desire to democratizing the video creation. That's the primary focus. The founders, basically, they recognize the growing importance of the video. But again, they have seen some traditional issues that we are looking at from the legacy editing tools, which are kind of often complex and expensive for everyday usage. So they started looking at various options and exploring different the technology areas, how they can quickly enable the customers. Actually, the key turning point came in when their integration of the Google Cloud generative AI capabilities. Of course, they started with, currently on the slide that you are seeing is Gemini 1.5 Pro model. So they are expanding into the newer model technologies, but they started it a couple of years back on the older models. So, but they also kept evolving with the growing content and with the growing organization. So, with all the technology components that we are providing to make things much more simpler. So, if we look at what Weed has achieved, so this allowed primarily Weed to introduce the powerful AI tools. You can if some of you might have already explored, you might be looking at automated transcription, video summarizations, and translation capabilities, and even further streamlining the video creation, actually, the process itself. So it's a very simple idea, but again, with the combination of generative AI capabilities, you are able to expand that into a bigger organization. This is actually a great startup story. So that's what we are seeing and generating it with all the startups that we are working in. Today, if we look at what VD is, it's empowering millions of creators worldwide. And also, it's helping the individuals to the large organization to produce a professional quality videos and with the ease. So this journey actually exemplifies the power of the combining, how you can combine the vision, the idea create generation, with the perseverance, and also cutting edge technology, how these three can come together and disrupt the overall industry, right? So this is the great story that if you really want to see what how Weed has achieved, I certainly suggest you to experience the tool. Motorway, another great story from UK. Actually, I'm thrilled to share this story. Of course, I'm not actively involved on the account directly, but certainly it's the great story that I have seen evolving within the as an organization. It's also a testament to Google Cloud's generative AI technology, right? So, to give you a background, Motorway is a UK-based startup. It had a vision to transform the used car market, making making kind of selling the cars effortlessly and transparently. That's the primary focus. Now, what they have done is they have leveraged the AI technologies uh, to automate the key internal processes. It can be, if you look at any used car market, one of the common things that we see is a good description with all the attributes that we are looking at. So, one, we are generating the vehicle description. Second, to optimize the pricing. Hey, we do have so many market trends today. How I can combine that data to generate the actual optimized pricing for the used cars. So it's basically the intelligent technology that we incorporated that into their platform, and it's also growing the used uh, marketplace strategies also, right? So you also need to adapt to the industry trends that we are looking at, along with the regulations and other capabilities. Now all these combined, so it's basically it enabled their rapid growth in the market success, right? So now, if you look at how Motorway is picking up, it's making them now the UK's fastest growing used marketplace. So that's the achievement that we are looking at from the startups perspective. We are very proud to be their technology partners, and also helping them from the start to the way currently they are in. So certainly, if you have any idea, so our team is great. Would be helping to drive. Not only, don't think about only the execution phase where you will be playing with the different tooling and exploring different components. No, as a startup, success means it's about the starting the idea, exploring the idea, how you can expand it further, and also adapting to the business needs and growing your startup. That's the actual success that you are looking at from the value perspective. So certainly we will be helping you in terms of the end-to-end framework. So, and the great success story is AI Apply. So, this is basically helping people to achieve their career goals. It's a very simple startup. It's basically it was looking at the challenges the job seekers are looking at uh, today in their competitive market. So, in terms of the application process, how they generate the profiles and everything. So now they have incorporated AI-powered tools into their uh, the portal itself. So basically, how it's helping them to come up with the customized cover letters. So tomorrow you want to apply to a new job, it customizes your cover letters, and also it tailors your resumes to the actual job needs. So basically, earlier we used to do it in manual fashion, where I had to look at all the attributes, what are the description of the job, and see what is aligns with my profile. Now you don't need to do anything. So it's like automatically takes the job description, your profile, and combines it with generates a proper tailored resumes. That's how AI apply is evolving into, and also it's also crafting the personalized follow-up emails, right? So you don't need to once you start applying and do enabling the job application process, either you have so far you had to manually do the follow-ups. Now they automated that as well with the intelligent layer. So basically, if you look at what exactly it's helping the job seekers to save time in all these areas, and also look forward with the right job faster, right? So that's the actual. So it's if you look at high level, their success is demonstrating the actual true potential of AI in the recruitment space. So these are some of the great examples that we are looking at. Certainly, we do have great funding mechanisms, and also I'm personally helping multiple AI startups in terms of end-to-end evolution of their organizations. So certainly, we will be looking at if you have any questions. We would be able to help you at any point of time. Feel free to reach out to this team. So certainly, we are looking at a bigger support on this. Thank you. I'll pass it on to Maruti again.
Cool. Thanks, Srinivas. Just a couple of more slides maybe before we jump into Q&A, right? I think with this week, we've covered the introductory sessions. Next few weeks, we can expect a very deep dive, hands-on labs, right, sessions where we'll go into the details. But, to point Srinivas mentioned, right, now, we do have, a whole bunch of programs, so ecosystem. Often, startups, right, it's a challenge to kind of start. And yes, you have an idea right now, you need credits and, some support. There are a lot of things that we are offering to support startups, right? In addition to credits that Erin will talk about. We also have this getting insights, right, from venture capitalists, right? So there is a white paper, article, whatever, you can kind of download, right, this from. Again, as I mentioned, you can use tools like Notebook LM, Gemini to kind of set up these virtual interviews, if you will, right, role plays. It might kind of look trivial, but believe me, I had so many startup founders come back to me and say hey, just 2 or 3 hours with that proved to be great, right, for our interview. Then, again, we help customers across financial, business, technical, and community areas, right? The key point, right, is don't hesitate to reach out, right? There are people who are dedicated like Srinivas whose primary function is to kind of help startups, right? Both on the technology side, and then there are people who help on the business side as well, right? So there's some details on the funding and all that, right? But again, the point is, please do reach out. There are a lot of options, right? You have the idea, you have a way to get it there, right? And then, I think just getting plugged into the events is great, right? Because even I come out of some of these events with startup community with great ideas, right? Sometimes mind-boggling, I've not even thought about it, kind of a thing, right? So I think staying engaged with the fellow startup community is absolutely great, and we do kind of provide some, help there. And then Cloud Skill Boost for organizations, right? We offered it for free, right? It's pretty straightforward process. I think you're already familiar, right? Trying few labs, but there's a way you can get it for free, right? And you can follow the instructions. and few few resources, right? Again, let me stop here. I'll hand over to Erin, and then we'll basically go from there.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. Get some slides pulled up for you all and just let our two speakers catch their breath for a moment before we move into Q&A. So Maruthi just touched on this briefly, but wanted to provide a little bit more color on the Google for Startups Cloud program. So scan that QR code, use the link that you see. But if anyone is not familiar with this program, wanted to just give a quick overview. So as you start on this really exciting Gen AI learning journey with all of our speakers and experts throughout this program, we're confident that you're going to want to try the products and solutions that we're referencing throughout the training, many of which Shri and Maruthi covered today. So if you're a startup, you can apply for up to $350,000 in cloud credits via this startup program. And that means you can start building Gen AI solutions for your business right away. There are different tiers. So we have a free tier starting with $300. We have our start tier, which is $2K. And then we have additional credits to support your growth and scaling throughout. So again, as kind of mentioned, we have various support offers for every different stage of startup, including tailored programs for AI first companies and Web3 companies. So like I said at the beginning, scan this QR code or visit the link on the screen. We've also pinned this in the Q&A section below the video that you see. So last but not least, please share your thoughts and feedback with us. So again, scan the QR code, use that link. We would love your feedback on the content, the session, how we can improve, how we can do better. So please take a few minutes to fill that out. We would really appreciate it. And then last but not least, just as a reminder, your next session is on Tuesday, November 5th. So same time. This will be prototyping with Gen AI, essential patterns for building innovative applications. So we'll go a little bit deeper before weeks 3 and weeks 4. So don't miss out. Friendly reminder. So with that, let's use the last 2 minutes for some Q&A. I think we probably have time for 1 or 2 questions. So I'll invite Shri and Maruthi back on, if you guys don't mind. Awesome. So we have a question from Luis. And the question is, how would you recommend to get better at writing prompts and giving instructions to Gen AI?
Yeah, I mean, there's this whole discipline called prompt engineering prompt, right? And we do have a white paper on that, right? But I think it's an experimentation, right? I think there's no kind of shortcut to it. Yes, you can follow all those guidelines. We try to link some of them, and then as I showed in one of my walkthrough, right? You do have a prompt tuning functionality, right, within Vertex AI Studio, where you can actually write your intent, right? And it tries to kind of tune the prompt, right? You can also do it for like other prompts, like for example, you're using OpenAI, right? There's functionality that, it will tune it to Gemini, right? So you get the maximum output. So these are some of the ways you can, tune your prompts.
Yep. Just to add on top of that, it's more like learning a new language, right? So it's the prompt. So you have to be very clear and specific what is your content. You can experiment with different approaches, but again, you think about providing the context as well as constraints, right? That you are looking at both the sides, and and the one thing which I have seen is more like similar to the language practice, right? You need to practice, practice, practice. Same way here, you will be looking at iterating and refining it based on the prompts that you are looking at. And finally, you will be looking at leveraging some advanced techniques as well, so that you can which platform provides. But the ideation is it's similar to what we are looking at so far with the new language.
Perfect. And I think we can squeeze in one more in the last probably 30 seconds or minute that we have. So this one is from Vikram. What are the different pricing strategy or things to consider when offering a Gen AI solution built on Gemini and Vertex AI to end users?
Yeah, I mean, I think this demands a little bit more time, but like in brief, right? I think you have to think about it's not just like the tokens, right? Again, like it's a different ball game altogether. Like how we want to like price your service to the customer, right? But definitely, you want to look at like the services that you're using, right? what is the engagement model, right? Is a subscription model, it's a revenue share model, right? Again, right, it's a broad topic. Maybe we can cover these, right, as a article in the startup community, right? But yeah, I mean, just don't restrict it to like, the tokens or whatever, right? There's more, right, to a GenAI application, right? And also there's more to your business, right, on how you're offering these services to the customers, right? You can optimize in so many ways. But I think this just does, there's a need for some like prescriptive guidance, or at least some guidance around this topic. I don't
Yeah,
know, Srini,
on
if you have
top of
anything
that,
to add.
basically, sorry.
No,
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah. On top of that, I mean, what we are looking at from the pricing is one thing. Even though we say it's Vertex AI platform and Gemini, your solution that you are your ideation perspective, it's an end-to-end framework, right? So when you are adapting the pricing, you will be looking at all the integrated components along with the AI tools that you are leveraging to actually come up with the overall pricing strategy. That's where the actual value is. So sometimes what happens is we'll focus on certain and we'll miss out the other component. And when we are in the end state, you will be able to see an impact onto your strategies, right? So in order to avoid that, focus on more as an enterprise solution and what are the integrated components and come up with the overall the pricing strategy. That's how I have seen startups growing, and one of the best practices that adopted by startups. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all we have time for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We're excited to see you for week 2 back on Tuesday. And Maruthi, Shri, thank you so much for the time. Lots of great comments in the chat about the session. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
And happy Halloween and happy Diwali for anyone who is celebrating. And pleasure to
Yes.
meet you all.
Thanks, everyone.